Hey there, and welcome. My name is Asha, and I'm joined by some phenomenal ladies today, Casey and Lois, and they will be sharing some really great Lumio activities. And we're kicking off World Teachers Day, so it's going to be good times. For those of you that are registered, be sure to stay tuned at the end because there will be a live draw for a prize. Now, if you have not registered yet, please go to go.smarttech.com/livestream and you can be entered to win a prize and get access to some of the activities that the ladies will be sharing with you today. Over to you, ladies.
All right. Thank you, Asha. So excited to be here with both you and Lois today. World Teachers Day. This is an exciting day or leading up to tomorrow, which is actually World Teachers Day. Are you excited, Lois?
I'm super excited. Teachers are my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Agreed. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can go ahead and start showing some of the ways we can use the awesome tool Lumio with our students. And as to make it fun, we wanted to celebrate World Teachers Today with you guys. So everything that we're going to be showing you today are some really neat tools and features, but also all wrapped around what a great job teaching is. I know, Lois, you and I both spent some time in the classroom. I had 20 years before I left and started with Smart, doing all the things in elementary level. What about you?
Yeah, so I actually taught high school students English reading, writing, and study skills for the Upward Bound program, which was super rewarding because those are all students that will be the first in their families to go to college and graduate. But I got to tell you, Asha may not have been in the classroom, but she was my first teacher here at Smart.
Aw, thanks, Lois.
Such a good point. We're always teaching in all different aspects, right?
Absolutely.
So you can see going down on the screen that there's a way to connect with my class today. So you can get a real-time feel for what you can do with Lumio. So if you want to join us, you can go to hellosmart.com. You can enter my class ID, which is 11311, and that will bring you into today's session so that you can really get a feel for some of the activities we have to share with you today. So again, this will be on your screen so you can join at any time, but hellosmart.com, you can join us as a guest. 11311 is the class ID, and we hope you'll jump in and get a feel for what we're going to show you today. So one of my favorite things that Lumio has are some amazing games, and there are 12 different gaming templates, and they're all great and fun to choose from. And they're all meant for us to build quickly and easily, 5 minutes or less. But what I really love about these games is that we can be creative with how we use them. And Rank Order is actually one of my favorite games. And Rank Order also now has something new called the Activity Dashboard, but that we'll show you in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and click Model Activity. You guys can hit Start on your end to see what this activity looks like. But I thought it'd be fun for us to think about and rank what our favorite things about being a teacher, favorite to least favorite things about being a teacher. So I did a quick poll with some of my teacher friends to see what their favorite things, and I added a few of those here today. So I had people say that they loved field trips. They loved being surprised by the wisdom of their students. And I know I have definitely lived out that reality too. Getting sweet notes and pictures from their students, witnessing those aha moments, having those summers off isn't all bad. Silly jokes and student stories by our students. I know I usually hear some fun stories by my students, maybe some things that their families wish that they didn't share with us, but always gave me a good laugh. So what you're going to do,
Right?
yeah, you're going to rank what your top. So if having summers off is your least favorite of this list of items, you would put it at the bottom. Everyone's items might vary because we have different things that we connect to. What would be your favorite, Lois?
I know I would have to say the aha moments, right? Like Originally, when I wanted to teach, I wanted to teach first grade because I wanted to be that teacher that sees students actually learn how to read and watch the world open up in front of them. But high school is where I ended up, and I loved it. But even in high school, watching students just get something, it's amazing. Amazing.
I agree. One of the other things I loved is helping students to gain that confidence and learn to take risks. I think that was huge for me, is getting kids to know that I was not about the end product. I was really about the process, and getting them to trust that was really exciting to see. So that would be one of the top for me for sure. And I don't know about you, but field trips were definitely not my favorite. They were very exhausting. It was fun to see the kids make connections, especially those students maybe that don't have the opportunity to visit some of those places that we were able to take them, but definitely not at the top of my list of favorites.
Yeah, especially when you have runners, right? Like field trips can be a nightmare.
Exactly. So once what you will do is with this activity is just sort of rank your items in order from what you think are your least favorite or your most favorite to least favorite. There's no right or wrong answer. So rank order can be set up where there's right and wrong answers. So if I was doing equations that students were solving, they could organize those greatest to least, for example, or I can do opinion based like I did here. What's really neat about this game and two of our other games, Super Sort and Match 'em Up, is now we have something called the activity dashboard. So I can actually see here that I have 9 students that have completed the activity, 3 students that are in progress, so in the middle of doing the activity, and 2 students that have not started the activity yet. And what also is really neat is I can see class results as a whole. So if I click show results, this is not going to show my individual student results. It's going to show how the class did as a whole. Now, in this case, I don't have a score because there's no right or wrong answers. If this was a situation where I did have right or wrong answers, then I would see what the average score was, and I could get a quick peek into my class that way. But what I think is really neat about this opinion-based rank order is it actually organized an average ranking. So based on the 10 people who have completed this activity, as a whole, this is how our class would land. So we had quite a few people that were witnessing those aha moments and building relationships near the top. And we had people putting field trips near the bottom. So it actually creates a rank order as an average based on our student results. But what else is neat is I can also click on student progress. Now, for this situation, we're going to be brave and we're going to look at student progress. Now, if I were doing this in my class, I would, of course, not show my individual students' results to the whole class. I would look at this privately, which is why we have this great message to help us know that. But in this case, I can pop in and take a look, and I can see if I look at Kat's, for example, I can see how she ranked her items. I can see how long it took her. Again, notice there's no score here because these did not have right or wrong answers. Had they had right or wrong answers, I would also have a score here, which is really, really nice. I love that 3 of our games now have this activity dashboard. I think it's huge to have this data to add to our portfolios and for different meetings we have with our conferences and whatnot with parents.
Yeah, I think
Anything
that's awesome, Casey. If you were going to do something that was graded, like what would you create a rank order for?
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways that you could do it. So for me, it's anything that you put in order. So one that I love that I was working with a secondary math teacher, and she did different algebraic expressions, and the students had to simplify those and then organize them and it was actually expressions and organize them from least to greatest. So they had to solve them, then they have to organize them least to greatest. And then they had a right or wrong answers on how they did. And they paired up with their partners afterwards to kind of discuss and break down those problems. I loved how they had that secondary piece where those students were getting together to discuss. One of the other things that's great is if we were doing this as a graded activity, instead of seeing an average ranking, we would see the answers that were missed most. And so we could discuss that as a class. So right away, I'd know, okay, these are our top 3 that our students are having trouble with today. So let's talk about those before my students even leave the classroom.
Nice. Yeah. That and that's a thing that I love about Smart is we really do value feedback as a gift and teachers asked for this and you ask and you shall receive, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the, I so agree with you. I think our user voice and people being able to share what they are wishing for and then having our developers bring it to life is a huge thing. And there's so many times that I can point to of teachers saying thank you because something they had asked for showed up. And so they felt heard. And I really value that within our company as well.
Absolutely.
So I polled a few people from of teachers that I knew about what they thought were their favorite things about teaching, but I know we didn't capture all the ideas. So I really want to hear from you guys. What were some of the things that were not on our rank order list? What are some of the things that we missed? So right now you'll see that there's no way for you to add any text or comments here. This is a view only. One of the great things is I can convert a page in real time right in front of you so that I can give my students directions first without them having access to tools because I know my students jump in sometimes before they start really listening. You'll also notice that on the side of your page, there's an audio button that you can press play and it has me reading or giving you some additional directions. So if you're anything like my class where I give directions and then the students all raise their hand and say, what are we supposed to do next? You can say, oh, my directions are right in the corner of your page. So I'm going to convert this live by clicking the people on the left side, and I have three options. I can make this an individual handout. Each of you have your own copy. I can make this a group workspace where I put you guys into smaller teams, like teams of 3 or 4. Or in this case, I'm going to put us all in the same space together. So I'm going to make this a whole class whiteboard where we're all contributing to the same space. So I'm going to click that. And now you should see the ability to hit the resume button. And when you hit resume, that will bring you into today's page. And you'll notice that on the left side, you now have tools. You have an A, which is your text tool. So if I click on the A and click anywhere on my screen, I can add something. So Lois, what's something we missed on our list of favorites about teaching?
Oh, gosh. There's just so many things like how now I'm doing like rank order in my head, so it makes it difficult. Always learning something new every day. That's a great thing, right? I
Love
think
that.
children just see the world in a different way than your average adult. So just being able to experience things through the way children do is kind of refreshing and inspiring as well.
I love that. That is such a good point, and I agree with you. So notice that as you guys are adding, all of your content is coming in the same space. So we're seeing everyone's work coming, making an impact on students' lives. I love biology and let students connect the theory to their real life, which is always good, especially with complicated content like biology. What I think is nice too is I can click on any of the text or images that are coming in or even the shapes. And I can click the down arrow and I can see Trisha added, always learning something new every day. And I can see Stephen added this picture of these students working and collaborating together. They look like they're having a great time. Ooh, read alouds. I love doing fun read alouds with my students. I see Gretchen added that. And Trisha added the heart underneath there. So notice that I can see which students are contributing or which people are contributing to this page. So I love that we can be collaborating, whether we're in small groups in a group workspace or as a whole class in this space, a whole class whiteboard, but that we can still see who's sharing and contributing what content where.
Yeah, I think it's really great that you can see who's participating and how they're participating. It helps you differentiate your instruction on who needs help and who doesn't. In speaking with my teacher friends lately, I think a big thing is that they're having to repeat themselves over and over and over again for every tiny instruction, which can get frustrating, right? So, as Trisha said in the chat, that controlling the access is brilliant because sometimes they leap way before they look. I know that I was definitely one of those students. Like, I just wanted to get to the end and not follow the instructions, and it always bit me in the end. But I love how you have added that audio and the students have a visual to let them know, like, here's some information for you, so you're not repeating those instructions over and over and over again.
And as you were talking, one of the things that came to mind too is that I haven't talked about is we have this everyone can edit button toggled on. So right now you can see that people can move content around, continue to add content. But if I need to pause contributions, I can toggle off. And now my students no longer have the ability to add content. I've sort of frozen them. They can see everything, but they can't add. So if I need to add additional directions or if I need to clarify something, I can always pause that ability to edit. And then when I'm ready, I can toggle it back on, which I think is really powerful.
That is super powerful. And Admiral in the chat is asking, Casey, can we also monitor the response time? I know the answer is yes, and there's several ways that we can do that, but what is your go-to way for monitoring the response time?
Well, so I can't see exactly how long it takes for a student to like answer per se, but I can see and check and see students working in real time, which I think is huge. And I can, like I said, see which students are contributing. So if I know who's in my class and I know certain students that I'm looking for, I can check to see if they're contributing. And of course, I can do make sure I'm in the zone of proximity by walking around and checking in and looking over shoulders to see, making sure that students are with me as well. One of the things that also we were talking about in connection of helping our students with directions and making sure things are easy, accessible for all students, no matter what their learning range is we also have the ability to use the immersive reader button that's turned on for both students and for me as well as the teacher. So you'll notice on your side, you'll have a little book with what looks like a little speaker on it. And if I click on that, any text, including the text that you guys, my students, are adding, any text that's added has the ability to be read using immersive reader. So if I have students that are emergent readers or English language learners, or I have students that perhaps are dyslexic and need some extra support, what's great is they can click on that immersive reader button and they can click on any icon they would like read to them or that they need support with, even a few of the words. And when they click on that, it's going to open the immersive reader screen for them. And what's nice is they can have individual words read to them. They can have the whole sentence read to them. They can, of course, customize some of this as well. So if they need a different background screen to help the words be easier to read for them, they can do that. They can adjust the font sizes, all sorts of things. And so this immersive reader is great. And I love that it's not just for content that the teacher puts together, but also any content that's added by the students as well. So if you're working with your peers in small groups or in a whole class space like this, you still have access to the immersive reader for the work that they've added as well.
You know what, Casey, I'm so glad you brought that up. I have spoken with several teachers in Texas recently that have students that speak languages other than English. And, being on the border, we automatically might assume Spanish, right? But no, there are lots of different languages that are being spoken in our schools. And if teachers are not bilingual, this is a huge resource because you can also select the language that you're using, right? So if the student is trying to learn to speak English better, it's great to have it in English, but to where they can actually hear the words so they know how to pronounce them, right? So it really provides that opportunity to scaffold that lesson for that student.
Yes. So as Lois said, you'll see that you have the ability to change your fonts and all sorts of different types of things, including the language that you need it translated to. So very powerful for schools and teachers and classrooms that have students speaking multiple languages. I love that. All right. So the last thing we wanted to do today is talk about one of my favorite tools, which is our manipulatives. We have a variety of manipulatives that allow our students to have access to tools and be able to work with content, whether they're home or school. I know equity is a huge thing, and some of our students have access to coins, for example, so they can practice and touch and feel the coins as they're doing their homework. But some of our students don't have access to those types of things, or to manipulatives like Unifix cubes or or letters like we have in this case. And so being able to give those to students to have access and use, I think is really great. So on your end, you can hit start. On my end, I can hit student progress. This is a manipulative, a ready-made manipulative that already exists in our library, in our Lumio library, in our dashboard, that I can add and customize. So in this case, Lois found and has been monitoring some of her favorite teacher friends who have been doing some really fun teaching white lies t-shirts. Do you want to share with us what you saw, Lois?
Oh my gosh. So I spent probably like 3 hours this past weekend reading responses from teachers in one of my teacher groups of what's a teaching white lie. And I was just laughing so hard because I could totally relate to almost all of them. But the one that got me the most was the copier was like that when I got here because it just seems like the copy machine always broke on me every single time I used it, right?
That is so true. I've been there as well. So what's neat about this page is it's called a making words manipulative, but you can use it as so much more than just traditional making words. So all of these letters at the bottom are infinitely cloned, which means you'll never run out of them. So if I wanted to use the idea that Lois had, I can drag and drop those letters and start to build my t-shirt. And I'm always going to have more letters underneath. Which is really neat. But what I did to customize this was I added this picture of the t-shirt. I added the text at the top. I added some images of some t-shirts to kind of give some ideas if I was working with you guys in person. So you have an exemplar to look at, which I think is really powerful for students. But I love that we've given our students the tools they use to build their own t-shirts by that drag and drop method. And let's take a look at some of the ones we have already here. Ooh, let's look at this one. Oh, yes. I love indoor recess was definitely a white lie on my end.
Right?
That was the most dreaded. I'm like, it's only sprinkling. Can't we go out?
Right? That's a great one. And you know
That
what I love what you've done there, Casey, because you can take the letter manipulatives and do that, but you still also have the other tools that we used before, like this person did.
Yes. So Sarah, what she did, I love this one. I don't have a favorite student. I love that she used the letters, but she also used the text tool and the image tool. We have a being safe search that you can add image quickly and easily, which I think is fantastic as well. So I
I
love
love
that we
that.
have a wide range of manipulatives that you can pull in and use with your students in any kind of way. We have I love eating lunch with my students.
I'm sorry, Casey, they get me every time.
I know, they're so funny. Because there's so many, right? We could probably go on and on and on, as you were seeing in your teacher group, for sure. So a couple of things just to kind of go back and talk about the main things that we talked about today. So number one, we talked about our game-based activities and how powerful they are. But in this case, we talked about using rank order as an opinion-based activity. This is a great way to do a think, pair, share with your students and scaffolding it a little bit by giving them some responses to work with. I've seen kindergarten teachers use an opinion-based rank order all the way to 12th grade students. Just the teacher set them up differently. I've seen a math teacher do this where they did which team during March Madness of the Elite Eight do you think is most likely to win to least likely to win? And they went on gut instincts at first, but then they had to use statistics and data to back up their responses. So it was really fun to see how they use this rank order from that perspective. We talked about a whole class whiteboard, and with that whole class whiteboard, the ability to add audio directions for our students and also use that immersive reader tool so that students can easily read their peers' work as well, no matter whether they are an emergent reader and writer, a struggling reader, or someone who speaks a different language and needs some additional help that way. And then we also talked about the power of bringing in digital manipulatives to our classroom and bringing that equity. So for students that are at home or at school, they have the things they need to be successful. We have a wide variety of manipulatives that are built into our dashboard, but we also have some in our Lumio library that you can use with students. And I think that really is a game changer for my students for sure.
Absolutely.
So Lois, anything you want to talk about before we close down our time today? I can't believe our lives already at an end.
Yeah, so one of the great things about Lumio is you can use Lumio for free. So if you want to try Lumio, you can just go to lum.io and log in with your school email, and you can get started for free. Whether you're searching the Lumio library for existing content created by amazing people like Casey and many others, teachers from around the world, or you have some type of static content that you want to pull in and add one of these interactive games, you can do that yourself as well.
I love that you reminded everyone that Lumio is free. And what's really neat about it being free is it doesn't keep you from using, all of the features are available to you for free. You are not limited in any capacity. So all of our games, that dashboard, that activity dashboard where you can see student data, all is accessible to you through Lumio for free.
Absolutely. And, here's the thing. I love seeing lessons. So if you do create an awesome lesson that you think other teachers would like, we'd love for you to share it with us. And you can share it on any of our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I believe there's some TikTok going on too, just saying. So there's lots of ways to share. And I love seeing what other educators create because it never fails. Someone asked me, like, hey, do you know where I could find something that would be great for XYZ? And I love sharing your content too. So please share with us.
Yes, hashtag Go Lumio. If you share to any of our social channels, include that hashtag Go Lumio so we can find it. Lois mentioned that you can share on any social channel. I'd also like to just share that we have a Lumio Facebook educators group. So if you look for Lumio educators on Facebook, we have a group that's available to you. It's for anyone that's just getting started and wanting to learn more and wanting to ask questions of fellow Lumio users and build a community. We hope you'll join our Lumio Facebook educators group, and that's a great way to learn more about the different things that Lumio has to offer.
Absolutely. And I joined yesterday, so I'm super excited to see what everyone's sharing.
Awesome. All right. I hear we have a winner. I think we're going to have a winner. Is that right, Asha?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing some really great activities. I'm seeing the chat, and people are actively chatting about how phenomenal these activities are and how much they've learned today. So, thank you. Now, it is time for us to draw a winner. So, if you are just joining us, we do have a prize for one lucky registrant that has gone to go.smarttech.com/livestream. And I think it's that time. Drum roll. Brrrr. And the winner today is Kelly Kennedy from Clark County School District in Nevada. Congrats, Kelly. Now, if
Yay,
you want to
Kelly.
win, no, awesome. No, congrats to Kelly for sure. Now, if you want to win like Kelly, if you go to go.smarttech.com/livestream, we will be giving out prizes tomorrow. So be sure to follow us on our socials, and you can even win some more stuff. So happy World Teachers Day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye for now.
Bye. Hope to see you guys
Bye.